welcome back to Pushing Pixels. I'm your host, Sam Mestis. Today's a Dancing with the Stars episode. I don't know where I saw this tutorial, or I saw a version of this tutorial. I honestly can't remember where I saw it. But we're going to throw our own stink on it and make it our own. And it all starts with a brand new document that is 6 inches by 9 inches at 300 DPI. Normally I don't work at 300 dots per inch when I do these tutorials, but well, what the heck, we're here. So let's try it. So 6 by 9 by 300, and we are going to build a sort of Dancing with the Stars, a sort of a billboard, a TV billboard, or an ad. So let's check it out. Here we go. We're going to start with this. So let's open up our documents, and we need, we're going to start with this disco ball right here. I believe I got this off of iStock Photo, and it's pretty cool. And I'm going to just drag it over to my document. And I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than my document. I'm going to scale it up just a bit because I kind of want the ball sort of down here a little bit. It's kind of halfway off the screen. A little bit, maybe scale it up just a little bit more. And there we go. Return. Awesome. The other thing I don't need, though, is I don't want it in color. So I'm going to desaturate it. You can desaturate a couple ways. Image, adjustments, desaturate right there. Or you can just hit Command-Shift-U, and that will desaturate your image. And it's already looking kind of cool, although it is a little bit neutral. When you desaturate sort of averages a lot of colors, a lot of blacks and whites and grays. And I'd like it to be a little bit more washed out, because that's kind of what Dancing with the Stars is. It's a little bit overblown. So I'm going to work the levels. Command L will get you your levels dialog box. And I'm just going to drag the white slider over just a bit, sort of push the whites just a little bit, and maybe drag the black over, help the contrast a little bit. But not too much. I'm going to keep it pretty light. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to commit to that. All right, we need another image. We need this girl. And she's wearing next to nothing. So we're going to drag her over here into my document. Okay, I'm going to close her. I hold down Shift when I do that. That way it centers. And we need to get rid of the bottom of her. I kind of want it to look like she's almost coming out of this disco ball here. So we're going to need to hide part of her. So let's put a mask on her. So with that layer selected, I'm going to hit the mask icon here at the bottom of the layers palette. It's the third one from the left. Add layer mask. And there we go. We have a layer mask. It's right there. Make sure your mask is selected. It's got the brackets around it. And we're going to go to gradient. And with black and white selected as your foreground and background color, I'm going to go to gradient. G, by the way, gets you gradient. And up here at the top, I'm going to click the second one, black to transparent. That's the one I want. Now, since I have all that selected, I'm going to start at the bottom of her skirt here. And I'm going to drag all the way up, kind of to where her ribs are, her ribs start, and there we go. And that gives us this nice, little deal here. And I'm going to move her over just a bit, so it looks like she's coming out of that. And it also looks like the ball's breaking away around her as she's coming through, and things like that. So that's not too bad. Pretty good stuff. Okay, let's see what else we have here we can do with her. All right, we got a. Let's put some lighting behind her. Let's get some dramatic lighting behind her. I'm going to start a new layer right over her, and I'm just going to fill it with black. And I'm going to make back my foreground color, and I'm going to hit Alt-Delete. Since black is my foreground color, Alt-Delete will fill with foreground, so it covers my layer with black. And there's a method to my madness, because we are going to use a filter I don't like to use. I'm not a huge fan of, but just for the sake of learning about it and knowing where it is, let's take a look. And it's in the filters pull down, render, and it's called lens flare. Now we're going to pick the default lens flare, which is the 50 to 300 zoom. Leave it at 100. But what we're going to do is you can reach into this dialog box and grab the lens flare, and I'm going to center it on itself. So you can move it all around and get those optics going whichever direction you want, but I actually just want them centered 100%. So I'm just going to drag it in the center, kind of like that. Make sure you have that sort of, that's what it looks like, right in the center of my screen, and I'm going to hit OK. Perfect. Now we're going to make a brush out of this lens flare so we can paint with it. So having said that, we're going to make we're going to go through our make a brush procedure. And it's really simple. First things first is we need to desaturate it. We need to turn it to black and white. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-U again, and that will desaturate my brush and make it black and white. It's kind of on the dark side though, so we're going to push the levels, Command-L, and I'm going to drag this white slider over till this middle one reaches, till it starts hitting something right here. There's a couple little rises here in the histogram. So I'm just going to drag my white over a little bit till it hits that. And that's pretty much where it is. And that's a lot better. And I'm going to commit to that. Not too bad. But when we make a brush, we have to invert because we have to do black on white. That's how we make brushes. That's how Photoshop wants you to make a brush. So hit Command-I to invert. And now you're ready to define a brush. So let's define it. If you go to Edit and hit Pull Down and go to Define Brush Preset right there, it is going to ask you to name your brush. Now, if you only want part of this, you can make a selection around it. Like, say you just wanted that much to be the brush. But in this case, we're going to use the entire thing. So not select anything. Just Photoshop assumes you want to use the whole image as your brush. So back to Brush Preset, Define Preset, and I'm just going to call this, I think I called it Crappy Lens Flare, because I'm not a big fan of this lens flare. And I'm going to hit OK. And it's saved. It's in our brush palette. Let's dump this layer now into the garbage. We don't need it anymore. Just drag it down to garbage. We don't need that anymore, but let's start a brand new layer right here. Hey, Cameron wants to have pizza at lunch today. Oh, great. So new layer, new blank layer. And if we go to brushes, the new brush you just made is going to be the very last one. It's right there. And make sure you have white selected. I'm going to reset my colors by hitting X. You can alternate your foreground and background colors by hitting X, and I need white to be my foreground color. So I'm just going to click and see what it looks like. That's not too horrible, right? Size it down a bit. There it is. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. 3 brushes, 3 lens flares right there, and that looks pretty good. A little bit big though. I'm going to make them just a little bit smaller. It's kind of obnoxious looking. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And now let's color them. That's weird. What is that sitting over there? That's not her, is it? Oh, it is her, because I moved her over too far. That's why. So I'm getting that little deal there. There we go. Hopefully that fixed it. Let's see. Let's size her up just a smidge, just beyond the bound. There we go. All right, let's color those. So I'm going to double click those new lens flares that I just made. Those guys are right there. I'm going to double click the layer to pull up the layer dialog box. And we're going to use Inner Glow and make sure it's set to multiply blend mode. And there you go. It's already changed it. I'm going to change it to something a bit more fantastic like these pinks. All right. That's pretty good. Let me see what this, maybe tone it down just a bit. Those are pretty cool. All right. All right, and let's duplicate that layer. Command-J. And with your move tool, drag it to the other side. Oh, look at those brushes. Screwed me. Let's do it. I lied. Let's not duplicate that layer. Let's start a brand new layer over the top of that. And with the brush again, let's paint 3 other ones over here. That's kind of wrapping around here a bit. That'll work still. All right, double-click that layer. Inner Glow. Let's find a different set of horrible purples to use, or maybe... maybe some blues. How about some blues? There you go. There's some blues. Whatever you want. And there you go. And there's that. So those are those lens flares. They're kind of ugly, but good to know how you can make those. She is a little bit dull though. I mean, she's oversaturated in some parts, but it doesn't really live up to sort of what this whole thing is. I'm actually going to double that layer of her. So I'm going to go on her layer where she is, and Command-J. And let's see if this works. I know we did it different in class, but let's see if this works for me instead. I'm not that excited. Let's not do that. Let's do this. Let's go to her layer, and then go to Channels. All right, we'll go to our Channels palette. And if you Command-click on the picture here in the RGB, on the one that says RGB, it will select the highlights for you. There you go. So it's got this random weirdo selection of all the highlights in that image. Now if you select her again and hit Command-J, it's going to make a copy of that selection set. And you can kind of see it did some wild stuff here. But if we set that to screen now, we get these really cool sort of highlights. And it's not as, it's a little less dull looking. Not too bad. One more final thing. This is really quick. Let's open up our Dancing with the Stars logo. The problem with this is I need it to be white, and it's black. So let's just invert it. Command I will invert. Please do not confuse that with Shift Command I. That's invert selection. Command I inverts image. And there you go. And now they're white. If you drag this over to your document, close that guy out there. We don't need him. You can drag it down your image, and there you go. There is your Dancing with the Stars ad work. Not too super fast, right? We do a lot of damage with just a little bit of a couple images. Pretty good stuff though. There you go. That was super quick. Hope you learned anything. Go through it again. Practice, 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 and enjoy your day. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody.